Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Wednesday. So, as always, we're going to do our weekly pro wrestling show, Pro Wrestling Weekly. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What's going on in the wrestling world at the moment? We're going to be taking a look at Survivor Series, probably our final preview at this stage, bar a couple of shorts coming at you over Thursday and Friday, no doubt. We're going to be talking about other things that are going on in the wrestling world as well. We're going to be talking about Gunther, who has suddenly found his voice all of a sudden and wants to go on the attack in relation to wrestling. We'll be talking about that. We're running a poll at the moment out there. Will CM Punk return at Survivor Series? Yes or no? Very simply, at the moment, it's 60-40 in favor of the yes. Let us know what you think. If you have voted in the poll and you're in the chat, let us know why you think he will or won't. And we're also going to be talking about some of the metrics that are in between SmackDown and Collision. Not necessarily a fair comparison, but probably shows the gulf in terms of the audience and stuff like that as well. We'll be looking at that. And we're going to be talking about Ryback. Someone explained to me what's going on with Ryback. Absolutely crazy stuff, I have to say. We'll take our dose of look back at history for the week, and we'll do some notable birthdays. But we're also going to be talking about a number of other things as well. So welcome to the chat, folks. Strap yourself in for about the next hour, roughly. We're going to be talking all things pro wrestling, taking a break from football, having a bit of crack. Let's get into the chat and talk to these OGs. It does it in there. What is the cricket, Niall? Absolutely. How are you, my friend? Eno's in as well. How are you, Richie? Jack is in. Big up, Jack. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And Morris is in. Morris is absolutely delighted. I came home tonight, switched on my phone after the drive home, and who was on the phone dancing in the WhatsApp was Morris himself with the news that Stephen Kenny has been relieved of his duties, as they say. That's in there as well. All right, Morris, what's the news? The news is we're on the search for a new Ireland manager. So let's see what happens there. Kenny's in. Big up, Kenny. Kenny, make sure you give the chat a little update there if you want, or if you want to send me any pics, if you want me to include them as slides in the progress of your new book and stuff like that. If it's time to put out a few little teasers and stuff like that. But Kenny's in. Think Orton getting announced on Raw for Survivor Series makes the odds on Punk returning more realistic. Yeah, let's see what happens anyway. But it's going to be interesting. It's great to hear that the Viper will be back. So let's suppose we'll start with Survivor Series. Will we? Or no, we're not. We're going to start with Ryback. And you just catch this. And there to explain it, what the hell is going on with this guy. This was the weirdest thing I ever seen. Absolutely crazy. I don't know if he's caught it, but he released like a TikTok video, and his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whichever it is, comes in through the door, and this guy is snogging the face off Shrek. And I wasn't too sure what to think about it, but it was quite uncomfortable, to be honest. But I didn't know what to make of it. So let us know in the chat what you thought of this. What was going on with this guy? He's an absolute Fruit Loop. There's no doubt about it. Morris is asking where did Ryback bump into Rooney? Ryback could be way too young for him. Just saying. That's he has his own YouTube channel now. I know, but this is like, if you're trying to get traction, this is like crazy stuff. So I thought I'd put it out there first. I seen it today. I seen Will commented on it as well, and I just thought this is absolute madness. Right, let's get into Survivor Series. Enough of that. It's quite uncomfortable looking at that picture even. Let's get into it and let's start. Okay, we got Carlito versus Santos. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. What are you thinking about Survivor Series? Are you excited for it? How's it shaping up? What do you think of it so far and all that kind of thing? But Carlito versus Santos Escobar. What did you think of Santos Escobar's promo last week, where he didn't hold back, that's for sure. And talking about going heel, it's as heelish as you can get. He wanted Ray's leg to be amputated and all sorts of stuff, I think. But it was crazy, crazy stuff. The one thing I read today, it's been 10 years since Carlito had a singles match on a premium live event. That decade seems to have flown by when you think about it. Absolutely crazy. Let us know what your thoughts are as well on the men's War Games match as well. Orton now inserted into the team. The talk on around that I read today, and I don't know how true this is, but let us know your thoughts on it, was that they've kind of rushed him back early. And there was a lot of different things going around. Talk about how he might be jumped backstage and mightn't make it to the match. And then that's where they insert CM Punk. All sorts of stuff going around. All sorts of theories could potentially happen and stuff like that. So let us know your thoughts on that. What's your thoughts on Orton going into the match? Do you see him in the match? And there was also talk of this today. I don't know if you've seen this as well, that when Cody announced it on Raw, this was Jey Uso's reaction, because as we know, it was the bloodline and Jey Uso who originally put him out with the injury and stuff like that. So let us know your thoughts on that as well. Are we getting a kind of a similar storyline to what we're getting with the women's one as well, with the Becky and Charlotte situation? Can they coexist on a team for that one night and put everything behind them, park all the issues? Are we going to get a similar thing here with Jey and with Orton? Are we going to get a situation where Cody's team wins and then Orton just RKOs Jey out of nowhere? Or is Orton going to make it to the match? Who knows? Let us know your thoughts on it. Who was inserted in there. Obviously, very, very important in terms of the pay-per-view. Gunther versus Miz. Plenty going on there as well. Let's talk about Acers first. Santos is much better as heel than babyface. Absolutely. I just felt, I don't know, did he just try too hard the other night, let's say? Santos for the win. Yeah, I think so. I think if they're going to build him that way, I think he has to as well. Sent me a couple of pics on Instagram. Brilliant. I'll pop them up there. I won't be able to get at them now, Kenny, because of screens here all over me here. So, but I will. I'll take a look and we'll put a slide together and we'll certainly include it. Absolutely. Awesome stuff. I did see, what was the one I seen the other day? You put one up as a DDP. Looks class. Looks class. I'd love now. Tell us as well, Kenny, how long did that DDP one take? Because the artwork that goes, if you haven't seen Kenny's books and stuff like that, folks, we'll show you. We'll do a little section on it next week on the show as well. The original one that we launched in the shop and all. It's an absolutely stunning book. But the artwork that goes with it as well is incredible. It takes a lot of work. And we'll definitely have Kenny on to launch the second one and take a look back at the first one and how it did and all that kind of stuff. But incredible. But check out Kenny's Instagram as well. Go over and follow Kenny on Instagram and check out some of the artwork that's going up there. The DDP one the other day was really, really cool. That in-ring promo from Santos, it seems to be more like I'm getting released. No, not at all. I wouldn't have thought so. He might have pushed it too far. Who knows? Santos will be fighting with Bad Bunny before facing Ray at WrestleMania. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So, what do we make? What do we make then? Miz and Gunther. This is very interesting. What have we made of Gunther, folks, over the last few weeks? Did an interview. I think he was on the Chris Van Vliet podcast, and he did an interview, and he was hammering Ultimate Warrior. He was hammering The Rock, talking about these guys not being athletes and all this kind of thing and all. And then he had a right old snipe at the Miz. And Gunther calls the Miz as always the embodiment of that era where I didn't like to watch WWE at all. So he's cutting close to the bone here, isn't he? I don't remember anything specific in Miz's career. I can promise you that. I said it before because I forgot the years. I don't know. Maybe it was like 2010, 2012. But there he was going to sell it, obviously, that he couldn't even remember the dates. But he knows him. We know he knows him. But there was a time where I can come up as a wrestler or even later. I didn't bother watching WWE because it was really not my thing. I like Japanese wrestling, love some of the indie stuff, and that's where my focus was when I watched for personal entertainment. But also like Japanese matches, how could I use it? So the Miz for me was always the embodiment of that era when I didn't like to watch the WWE at all. So getting in the ring with him now is fantastic, especially in WWE. And it's about the Intercontinental Championship, and it's really the matchup to see who's the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Interesting. He's becoming the right politician, isn't he, Gunther, really? He's kind of like talking out of both sides of his mouth and stuff like that, So he's kind of building you up and complimenting you slightly, but then kind of telling you that era when you were a thing really wasn't his thing and stuff like that and all. So I like this side of Gunther now. I'm liking to see that personality of Gunther coming out to match the ring work that he does and stuff like that and all. Pretty cool. And he cuts close to the bone. I mean, he hammered Warrior and he hammered Rock. So he's picking top guys to have a go off as well, isn't he? So very, very interesting in the way that is all unfolding. Where are we? Gunther will destroy Miz. Yeah, I think so. Gunther for the win as well. It'd be hard to see past Gunther in this one. He's hardly gonna have gone on that IC run that he's on, who he's beaten and all that kind of stuff, to suddenly drop it to the Miz. And listen, make no mistake, I'm a Miz fan. I think Miz is a gatekeeper for some of these guys and stuff like that. Gunther for the win, says Daz, and Aces is saying, looking forward to seeing Walter as World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 40. Won't be Walter, it'll be Gunther. Jerry, you reckon that's a World Heavyweight Champion? Yeah, he's probably going to go after Seth, is he? Because we're probably going to lay down the Cody situation for Roman, so that's probably the case. Gunther will drop the belt to Dominic in Berlin. Might have to drop it before that if he wants to create that WrestleMania moment. They did give an update as well, didn't he? Give an update saying that he's under these travel restrictions at the moment in the States, obviously looking for his citizenship or whatever it is, or his visa or whatever it is. So he says he should be cleared to travel to Berlin. So it must be kind of quite an exhausting period when you think that's probably 8-9 months away at this stage. So he's going through it. People were originally talking about 6 months, I think, but if he's targeting Berlin, because he hasn't mentioned Backlash in France. So yeah, there must be 7, 8, 9 months still to go on whatever he's dealing with over there. So obviously that'll get sorted out hopefully sooner rather than later. Let's take a quick check on our poll. At the moment, 57-43 think Punk will return. Interesting. So tight enough on the poll. We'll keep it going for a few more minutes as people come in and stuff like that. Let's see how it all winds out towards the end. But going to be interesting. People are going to be excited about this. This is the one thing that I fear about this pay-per-view as well. That people are going to get so pumped up at this opportunity of Survivor Series in Chicago to not push the button on Punk and take that opportunity. Darren spoke about it as well last week, about how this is the opportunity to do it. It's in Chicago. It will kind of be monumental. Surely they're not going to pass it up. Surely they're not going to pass it up, But let's see what happens. Acers, Gunther will be losing. Gunther will be losing the Intercontinental Championship either on Christmas Day or New Year's Day episode of Raw. Who does he lose it to, Acers, though? Who do you reckon? Who's getting the belt? Morris, I hope he returns, best for business. Morris, I hope he returns as well because it's best for my business too if he returns, because those best in the world shirts will be shooting out the door as they did originally. So it'd be good if it did come full circle. And of course, we wouldn't be too disappointed, would we? Would we be too disappointed? So yeah, let's see what happens. I just don't want to get too excited and then it doesn't happen. Let's see now. What do you make of the women's one? Now, obviously, you've got Rhea versus Zoe Stark, which is one that I'm really looking forward to. I don't expect Rhea to lose, but I expect Zoe Stark to put in a performance that elevates her up another level again for a potential situation down the road. But I think Zoe Stark is going to give a real account of herself. I like that sort of busy, solid, aggressive nature about her. She has that kind of aggressive nature, like Rhea, of course, kind of, but just obviously not a powerhouse like Rhea. But I'm really looking forward to these two locking up, and certainly it's a big opportunity, I think, for Rhea as well. Look, we know how good she is. She's absolutely stellar, but I think she's had a number of matchups now where it's just been a little bit disjointed. They couldn't find the chemistry with Raquel. Maybe they needed more time, and maybe they could have ran it back on this. But I think they're just going to go in a slightly different direction at the moment. So let's see what happens. But I'd expect Zoe Stark to put in a real good account of herself on this. And then we have the women's one as well in there. And as we spoke about earlier, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know on this one. On this one, Aces thinks will destroy everyone at WrestleMania 40. Yeah, I think that's the case, but I don't think. I think with Zoe Stark, I don't think she's going to destroy her. I think Zoe will give a really really good account of herself, and that way you can use Rhea to elevate these girls up through the system to to carry that bit more weight, if you like. Because I mean they're obviously going to have to push the button on it at some stage, and the question is then who do they drop it to if they don't build them up, so really, really important from that point of view. Morris is in. Cody Rhodes will never be half the star CM Punk is. Yeah, I mean it's just, mm, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean absolutely. Although I suppose now that they're at different points in their career and stuff like that, and I tell you, it would be really interesting when Punk comes back or if he comes back to see actually how he's actually received and how that momentum is continued. Because obviously, I mean, if he comes out on Saturday night, they're just going to blow the roof off the building, and especially if that music hits. But the question is, what way will it go then? How we see what happened. It happened in AEW. There was a massive wave from when he came in. Then it dampened down quite quickly. So let's see. Let's see how that progresses. But yeah, absolutely. Richie's in. How are you? CM Punk returning will not get my hopes up. If so, I'll probably be asleep. No, I think Survivor Series. I think there'll be plenty happening at this Survivor Series because they'll want to kind of round out the year because kind of December is kind of from December through to the Rumble is kind of a dead rubber. Really, it's just there's not a huge amount going on. It's kind of that in between season where you're moving into Rumble season and then you're on the road to WrestleMania, and that's when it all really really starts. But they have had a number of premium live events over the last say 3-4 months where it kind of just hasn't hit its straps. They've been good, but they haven't been great like the earlier part of the year. And I get the feeling with TKO and everything else that's going on there and all, they'll want to really finish out the year really, really strong. So don't be surprised as well if Triple H has plenty planned for this. We could get hit with an absolute stellar pay-per-view and one not to miss. So let's see what happens. Daz is in. Rhea for the win. Hope Jay gets a match soon. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and yeah, I don't know the Jay thing. I know they've saying she's been training with a number of people and stuff like that and all. Um, they probably want to do something reasonably soon or something like that. She could rock up here and something could happen because that's probably what's needed because it's like if they keep on just putting her out there on the socials and all this kind of stuff, people just after a while they go, "There's nothing happening," and they just switch off it and stuff like that. And you don't want them doing that. Imagine the egg on Tony Khan's face Saturday if he shows. Oh my God, just imagine. Imagine that music hits and out he comes and that building. That building is, you know, it's kind of it's gonna be so disappointing, isn't it, if it doesn't happen? Because the stars have all aligned for it. Fell out with AEW, had all the other crap, got the injury, all that kind of fighting, the infighting, all that kind of stuff. Walked out of AEW, massive big hullabaloo. And Survivor Series is in Chicago. Like the stage is set. The stage is set for him to come out and just drop a pipe bomb on that stage in relation to AEW or something like that, and just my God, would that set the world alight? And just imagine the reaction to that; it would be unbelievable. NXT deadline will be good in December. Yeah, it will, but you know where I'm coming from, Aces. I'm not devaluing NXT at all. I love NXT. So yeah, that's kind of what do we make of the women's one as well, folks? I mean, are we expecting Charlotte and Becky? Are we expecting something to kick off here for Team Bianca Belair to implode? And are we going to get Becky versus Charlotte in a storyline, play out the real heat that's in there in real life, and roll it all the way to WrestleMania, culminating in a big match at WrestleMania? Is that what we're thinking might happen here, or what do we think might happen? Um, can't believe Tony Khan has added a 3 hour Saturday for the head to head lunatic. Yeah, no, it's just, yeah, well, look, Morris, based on this, based on this is just, you know what I mean? I'm not too sure what he's at or whether he's a sucker for punishment. Now, I seen this the other day, and the funny thing I seen actually is Rampage actually did 10,000 more viewers than Collision last week, which is even kind of more concerning. But I mean, for Collision to be going up against SmackDown, it's stratospheric. And I know they were kind of forced in it, obviously because of Full Gear and stuff like that and all. Um, but it just goes to show when people are comparing the two, and they're talking about WWE and they're talking about AEW, just look at the numbers there. And I believe they posted really good numbers for Raw on Monday as well. And it went head to head, didn't it, with the Chiefs or something like that, the football on the Monday night and stuff like that. And they still posted a really big number as well. So you can see it starting to, you can see from WWE's point of view how their house is coming together, and they're starting to grow now. The viewers are starting to really ramp up. But when you look at the comparison there, and again, I know it's not truly a fair comparison because Collision got bumped to the Friday because of Full Gear and stuff like that. But it is a reality check for AEW to understand in their development exactly where they're at the moment and stuff like that, and to just be a little bit cautious about what you put out there. You know what I mean? Because it's you can end up with egg on your face really, really quick. Where are we? I like the video you put up yesterday, Niall. Was the Bulldogs in the 10-man tag? I don't remember. I don't think they were they? I'm not too sure. I can't remember. That's an old video, Daz. That's one I did with the boys. We used to do these look backs. And I just said I'd throw it up because it's a Survivor Series. I've one or two others to go up as well. But we used to do these look back shows, which are kind of like, they're nearly like watch alongs and stuff like that. But we didn't do them live. We used to record them. And they were just a bit of fun. And what we do is we just get random guys on. That was Stephen and Thomas. Thomas is a huge Jeff Hardy fan, and Stephen is a massive Undertaker fan. And we said we'd take a look back at that one because that's one of my all-time favourite Survivor Series matches. I love the Powers of Pain and Demolition. Met them last year at WrestleCon and all. For absolute gents. But I love that old school tag team wrestling. I love the gear. I love the entrance music. I love the way they work, all that kind of stuff. That's what I was talking about when I did the Full Gear review as well. I was talking about how when we were talking about Omega and Jericho and the books and stuff like that, that's kind of what I was alluding to in terms of how tag teams should work and stuff like that. And sometimes it's overshadowed, one, by unnecessary volumes of interference, and two, also two guys that don't know the synergy of working together as a tag team, but actually go out there like two single guys and stuff like that. And that's what I was alluding to in the review on Sunday night when we were talking about that tag match. And then you look at the likes of Demolition and Powers of Pain, guys like that. You used to work at the Heart Foundation, Bulldogs, all these guys, Killer Bees. How far do you want to go back? Road Warriors. How they work together. It was nearly like two guys that made it one guy nearly in it. It was nearly like a singles match, but with two guys, So really, really important to take that in. Acers Bailey will lose War Games match causing Japanese women's mafia turn on her, setting up Royal Rumble match between Io Sky versus Bailey Buddies to return. Interesting. You're putting it out there tonight, Acers. You're certainly putting it out there, putting in a shift. Fair play to you. Eno's in. I believe Tony Khan brings a new title into AEW Continental Championship. I think it's more a tournament, is it? I'm not too sure. I haven't looked into that. I need to look into that. And I know he dropped it. I know he dropped some information on it yesterday and stuff like that. I just didn't have the time to look at it. It sounded to me, I'm not too sure. Acers will be able to let me know. It sounded to me, was it more kind of, does it feel nearly like more like a King of the Ring kind of setup or a tournament type of thing, Acers, yes, they were on Powers of Pain team. That's right. Yeah, and I think they were in the blue, weren't they? I think, if I'm not mistaken. From what I can remember, it's been a while since I watched it. What do you make of this, folks? Let us know your thoughts on this. Sounds like this man has re-signed for AEW. There's been a lot of talk coming about him having re-signed for AEW. How do you feel about this? Do you feel that's the right move for him at this stage? Do you think he should be re-signing for AEW? Do you think he should have signed for WWE? If you were on the side of him signing for WWE, what way do you think it would have played out? Was this guy going to go into WWE? What kind of level? What way would he have had to work up? All that kind of stuff. Would he get lost in the mix again, or what way do you think it might have happened? Let us know your thoughts on it. Morris is in. Yeah, they were on the Powers of Pain team. Absolutely. Morris, speaking of belts now, would be a good time to bring back the European title. It would, with the volume of European people in there and stuff like that. And especially, like, it would be great to have a European title on the Backlash show in France and the Bash in Berlin and all that kind of stuff would be absolutely cool. Daniel's in. How are you, Daniel? Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us in the chat. It's a tournament for a new title called the Continental Championship. They don't need more titles. Oversaturation of belts is a band-aid on a bullet wound. The more belts, the less special they are. Yeah, we've seen that before. So look, WWE fans will know that firsthand and stuff like that and all. Yeah, but I just think, I don't know. It's kind of weird in AEW as well, because they have a lot of stuff wrapped up in things and stuff like that, isn't it? And it's very segmented. And then you have this grouping out there that's kind of not really in these other pots, if you like, to steal from football. And they don't really have anything to push for. So I'm not too sure. But I like the idea of it in terms of, kind of like an intercontinental belt, if that's the case, because I know they're bringing over people from various brands, or not various brands, various promotions and stuff like that and all. So it'll be cool to see how it all pans out. Jack is in. Niall, and I'm currently losing in a voting cup semi-final on my YouTube community. Good Lord. Absolutely. It's a tournament, Niall. He's dropped the teams are red and blue today. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll have to have a look at it. I haven't looked into it yet, guys. So we'll have a look at it and we'll talk about it next week. If I win, I get 3 subs, a PFP, and a shout out. Nice. Acers. It's AEW take on New Japan G1 tournament. Winners also get Ring of Honor World Championship and New Japan Strong Heavyweight Championship as well. Interesting. Plenty of gold going around. He re-signed with AEW long ago. The whole bidding war of 2024 was always a load of crap. He wouldn't be anything more than a mid-card in WWE, and he knows it. Yeah, Daniel, how do we feel about it, though? If he went into WWE, is that how you think, or do you think he could prosper in there and stuff like that? And also, yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, he's a star where he is, so it's hard to give that up to go back into that melting pot, And again, does a transition across and stuff like that, and how would a transition and all these kind of things? So, yeah, I think I was kind of thinking that as well, and they're probably not going to be offering them more money than what Tony would be offering them to stay and stuff like that. I'd be surprised if they were. The only thing is WWE probably offers a greater level of exposure when you're in there in terms of being a superstar. But I think most people on the planet at this stage know who MJF is. Morris, I think MJF is getting boatloads of money, so he's right to stay for now. He wrestles quite rarely. He wrestles quite a lot on the pay-per-views. Double jobs, most of them, and stuff like that and all, fair play to him. MJF is the Stifler of AEW. Jesus. Nick Hogan and Bother again, brother. Yeah, seeing that actually. Yeah, what did you make of the mugshot? Boy, has he changed a lot since the Hogan Knows Best days and stuff like that, I know he had the trouble as well where he crashed the car as well with the maid as well, who ended up in a very bad way and stuff like that. But also, yeah, this doesn't look good at all. And I put a post up the other day about it as well, kind of not getting it. And I was kind of saying to myself, well, what is it with these people? Like he can't be short of money. So why does he feel the need to drink and then get behind a wheel? Has he not ever heard of a taxi or an Uber or a cab or something like that? It's not like he can't afford it, you know what I mean? Barry's in the chat. Evening, bro. What's the crack? Good to see you again. Absolutely on you, pal. As always, good to see you today. Good crack as well with our mutual friend, let's say, who dropped in. But yeah, as always, guys, please vote for me. It's completely free. All you do is go to my community page and click on my name on the poll. It would make my day. Send them a link. Have you got a link, Jack? Can you drop a link into the chat so the boys can capture the link and go straight over and do it for you when the show ends? Al Snow could make a star of MJF in OVW. Don Moxley versus Mark Briscoe. Swerve versus Jay Lethal. Rush versus Jay White. The match is in tonight. Interesting. Nick is the DJ in Hogan's Beach Shop on karaoke nights. Interesting. We're hoping to go to that actually. Yeah, we're hoping they're supposed to be doing like a pre-Rumble party in that bar, which will be pretty cool. And I think JR sent me one the other day, Morris. You'd be interested in this. James Mitchell is hosting a karaoke night, I think, on the Thursday before the Rumble as well. And JR wants to go to it, but I don't think the rest of us are too hot and going to it. I'm not in a hurry to drive 2 or 3 hours to meet James Mitchell, to be honest. But absolutely. Yeah, I will drop a link now. Absolutely. Daniel, it's mostly has to do with being a spoiled, privileged, rich kid who thinks money and his father's fame puts him above the rules and the law. Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it didn't. I don't know. It's a weird one, but I don't know. It's just to me, it's weird if you're at that level of wealth. Park up the car if you want to have a few drinks and it was unexpected. Park up the car and get a taxi home. Why do that? Why bring that kind of hassle on yourself? You know what I mean? And like that family at the moment is so fractured at the minute. You know, Linda exiting the building. He's after getting married to this woman in his life now. This hassle now with the kid. Brooke wants to be disassociated with the family, basically. Such a fractured family. When you think about these TV shows, these intrusive TV shows where they follow you around, stuff like that, they rarely end well. Sure, they don't, and stuff like that. No, but those images of him the other day were absolute. I was shocking. I was taken aback by it, considering if you go back and you look at him, and I know he's a bit older and stuff like that, like he was unrecognizable, you know? Drink driving is unforgivable no matter how rich you are. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no condoning it at all. But I just think with guys like that, there's wealth there slushing around. There's plenty of money and stuff like that. There's no excuse for it. Like, no excuse for it. That's the link for my channel. Just go over on my community and if you want to vote for me. Absolutely. Um, right. What else we want to talk about? Want to talk about this. Sounds like the Rock's production company on the back of. I think at the moment a lot of these wrestling documentaries and stuff like that and shows that they're doing are getting really, really popular and really good traction. The wrestlers on Netflix was really, really good, and we seen the one that they did with Paige and all that kind of stuff. So there's been a lot of really good stuff coming out, and especially on the back of the successes of the Dark Sides of the Ring and all that kind of stuff. So at the moment, Rock's production company we're hearing has he's working on WCW World Championship Wrestling, the demise of it. So they're doing a docu series on that, and there's talk in the works as well of a docu series in relation to ECW as well. So they'd be really cool to see what way they come out and stuff like that, especially if the Rock is involved in them and stuff like that. So the ECW one would be very, very interesting. WCW, the demise of it, I think most of us know the story, but it'd be interesting to see what way the slant on the documentary would go. But yeah, absolutely very, very interesting. And we spoke about one I want to talk about here is Haku. He was being interviewed on the Two Man Power Trip of Wrestling podcast when asked about legendary figures such as he was being asked about iconic wrestlers who he believed were legit kind of hard men who he kind of feared. Now, this was kind of weird. I have a story about Haku as well, but I wouldn't have thought Haku feared any man on the planet because we all know the stories in relation to Haku. But I had the privilege of meeting Haku at WrestleMania 24. We went to WrestleMania 24 in the Citrus Bowl in Florida. We bought the tickets on Ticketmaster, so it was just a free coincidence. But we sat down, and right in front of me, literally right in front of me, there was a whole bunch of kids, and they were like those Russian dolls where you just take one out and they're just different sizes and they all come up in size. And right at the end, right in front of me, was Haku. He's wearing a baseball cap. I can remember to the day he was in a beige polo shirt. He filled the beige polo shirt. His back, you could have sold advertising space on it. This man was a monster of a man. And I was looking at him and I wasn't sure. And he was wearing the shades as well. And I was thinking, I was saying to myself, and I said it to the lads and all, the lads, I'll back this up. I said, I think that's Haku. They didn't think it was. And I went over and I tipped him on the shoulder and I just shook his hand. I said, how are you, brother? Good to see you and stuff like that. And he says, no problem. Kind of like he didn't want me to make a big deal out of it and stuff like that and all, and I didn't. But I was amazed, like, because we were about probably 150, 200 rows back. And I was thinking, what's this guy doing this far back? But he had a whole row of kids with him, and he was having a great time enjoying the show and stuff like that. And we got into it and we had a good time and stuff like that. And then people just started recognizing him, but I didn't want to pester him around like that. But certainly his reputation precedes him, so I certainly didn't want to disturb him in any way. Let's say, But it was very interesting to meet him, and it was very organic as well and stuff like that. And I like it when it's that way. What do we think of this one, folks? This is on the back of this Texas death match. There's been a lot of flack coming in about this drinking of the blood and all this kind of stuff. And the two boys have responded on social media. Obviously, Paige has used the visual on social media to send a message to Strickland telling him that he's in with me forever. This is the one where Paige is spitting the blood up, kind of a la Triple H with the water type of thing. And there's been various versions of it and stuff going around. But Strickland came on as well after this bullshit. I own AEW. Everybody in that locker room can fear me. That's goddamn right. I'm just getting started in this. Whose house? This is Swerve's house. No, this is Swerve's dungeon. And I'm hanging everybody like the executioner that I am. Believe that, Hangman. We better be done, because the next time you step into the ring with me, you're dead. So maybe is it the case that we reckon they're going to roll it back and stuff like that? What did you think about it though? Like, this is like, I enjoyed the match. I'm not a fan of death matches, as you know. I certainly wasn't a fan of this part of it. I thought it was kind of, and it was only actually when someone mentioned to me, like, the tough part of it was like Nigel McGuinness was on commentary, and Nigel McGuinness, as we know, was an absolutely fabulous wrestler, and his wrestling career was cut short because of hepatitis and this bloodborne diseases and stuff like that, and he never got to the bottom of how it happened and stuff like that, and it was kind of sad. And when we lost him, it was crazy in terms of wrestling and stuff like that, because he was such an outstanding competitor. His matches with Brian Danielson, especially on those UK tours through Liverpool and stuff like that, are the stuff of real things. But yeah, a lot of people have been coming back on this and giving their views on it and stuff like that. I think this bit was too much for me, but I thought the rest of it hung together pretty well and telling the story and the way they worked and that kind of thing and stuff like that. But lots of people, Cornette and all, have had huge says on this and stuff like that. And they were talking about how the networks were going to react and all this kind of thing. Daniel's in. I think the larger issue wasn't the brutality of the match or the bleeding, but the fact of drinking blood without any regard of possibly catching a bloodborne illness like hepatitis from doing it. Exactly. I do like the way they've kind of responded here on social media in terms of maybe there's talk that they're going to run it back or run it on a bit further and stuff like that. But it's hard to figure out how it goes and stuff like that, isn't it? When this is where you have kind of, I wouldn't say begun, but this is where you've kind of found yourself. Where do you go from here? You know what I mean? There's not much left there's not much meat left on the bone, as they say, in terms of where to go. Bonkers is in. Big up Bonkers. Do I like the Continental Classic participant? I like the Swerve versus Hangman match. Yeah, absolutely. But we shall see. It's going to be interesting. But just I'll pop it up there to get your thoughts, because we did review it the other day. I did think the match was stellar as a standout in terms of on that card and stuff like that. But there was just moments like this in it, it's tough for me to bear. I don't know how the rest of you thought about it. I'm not necessarily a deathmatch fan and stuff like that. I'm kind of more of a purist, if you like. Daz is in. Hey, Bonkers, is Hangman in it or Kenny? And Daniel is in. Undertaker almost got hepatitis and Bob Orton blading during the match Taker had with Randy. Yeah, remember that? Bob had Hep C, but nobody bothered to inform Undertaker until after the fact. He was livid. Yeah, he went absolutely ballistic, wanted to kill him. There was murder over that, and rightly so, because it's just so dangerous. So dangerous. Evening, Niall. So glad Randy back Saturday. Yeah, absolutely. Andrew was on to me this morning, bright and early. You were on to me. Was it this morning or yesterday? It was yesterday morning, wasn't it? Bright and early. Orton is back. Andy is a massive Orton fan. Gets a bit of merch off me and stuff like that. But he's probably the biggest Randy Orton fan I found through the shop and stuff like that. And also fair play. Bad idea, Hep C. Absolutely. None of them at Daz. Right, let's get in and talk a little bit of history, I think. Let's just get this stuff off my screen. Where do we begin? Yeah, I have to say, folks, great weekend of sport coming up as well. Some fabulous matches coming up in the Premier League. And again, don't forget to join us tomorrow night. Thursday Tier Talk returns with myself and Darren. Slightly later, 9:30. Darren has some things on, so he won't be available 9:30. We'll be doing a full Premier League preview, beat the bookie, all the latest news. We'll be discussing everything, getting Darren's views again on the points deduction for Everton, how he feels about this, what's coming out with Spurs at the moment. Plenty to talk about. So join us tomorrow night for that 9:30 for roughly about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 or so. And then Friday night, I'll be doing the big preview for the game, Man City versus Liverpool. I didn't want to do it too early in the week because I want to find out if Pep is telling the truth or is he lying about who's available and who's not available. So there was no point in doing it till we get more clearer picture on the personnel that are available. So with that in mind, make sure you hit the bell notification button. Also hit that subscribe button, share a like or drop a like in the video, share the content, all that good stuff. And we'll also be talking about Stephen Kenny Morris. Absolutely. Morris, you're more than welcome to join us. If you want to come on to the celebration party, we'll be talking about the Stephen Kenny era and what it meant. And did it deliver somewhat in his eyes what he thinks it delivered compared to what we think, who we think is going to be in the frame now and what our expectations is. Do we roll it back? Do we have to unpack what he's put in there and go in a different direction, or what do we think? So there'll be plenty to talk about tomorrow. So there will be a decent section of it in relation to Stephen Kenny, of course. So that was Morris, yeah. 9:30 after the watershed, Stephen Kenny special. Yeah, absolutely. Damien Priest will cost Judgment Day War Games match. Interesting. I might just, I'll get the kids to bed and see what happens. Absolutely join us. I mean, look, you've been the preacher, you've been the martyr for this. You've been the head of the table. You've been the tribal chief for the Kenny Out Brigade. So it's hard to do a show on Kenny Out if you're not going to join us. Richie's in, knew what that was going to happen with Steve. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the writing was on the wall. He knew it himself. Just going through the motions. Right, a little bit of history for you. 1994 in the Tokyo, Japan, Bull Nakano defeated the Lundra Blaze to win the WWF Women's Championship. This is all the history from this week, folks. Always good fun. 2011 WWE Survivor Series was held in Madison Square Garden, New York. CM Punk submitted Alberto Del Rio to win the WWE Championship and would hold onto the title for 434 days. Trying to get a bit of Survivor Series in here for you folks and stuff like that. 2017 on Monday Night Raw in Houston, Roman Reigns won his first Intercontinental title by defeating The Miz. So you can see we're sort of, we're linking some of the history now to some of what's potentially coming up and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy. 1988, WCW was born. Media mogul Ted Turner took over Jim Crockett Promotions and renamed it World Championship Wrestling. Very sad day for my wrestling fandom because I was a huge fan of Jim Crockett Promotions. So I was sad to see this all unfold and stuff like that. 88, all those years in the build up to that were great for me at that time. 2005, following the death of Eddie Guerrero, in part from dependency on drugs and all that kind of stuff, WWE announced the implementation, of course, of their wellness policy, and the rest is kind of history. And it's an interesting dynamic on this. I mean, we remember kind of how fluid it was in the beginning and stuff like that, and the testing, and they had laid out storylines and creative for guys, and boom, they get popped. But they were popping them for stuff that was, I won't say it was a little bit kind of, they had to mellow out a little bit on it and stuff like that, because it was getting to a stage where they might have ended up with no roster the way things were going. And what was creative going to do if you're laying out creative for the next 2 to 3 months for a couple of guys and stuff like that, and the next thing one of them has popped and he's gone for 30 days or 60 days, and lads getting released and all this kind of thing, and all very, very difficult to run a company and an entertainment company like that, where they're just falling off. All this work is just falling off constantly. But really, really important that they brought it in. And I think we've seen in recent years now a huge difference and a huge focus generally on the health of performers and stuff like that and all. I know we still have issues with concussion and CTE and various things like that and all, but I think in general, it's not as prevalent as it was in terms of drug use and stuff like that, from what we can tell anyway. So I think it did bring in some benefits at the time. Let's take some comments. Um, Morris, get Ted back on to defend him. Yeah, absolutely. Beat the bookie time. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have some fun with that. Might even do actually, might do I might have a look tomorrow and see can I drag out some sort of bets for Survivor Series as well. I might do a short on it or something like that. I include it as part of the Beat the Bookie for the crack. It was better as NWA, WCW when they filmed the episodes in the small studio with the blue and green ring. Yeah, once it became just WCW, it started going downhill kind of quickly. It did. I loved it. That's why I was like, during the pandemic, I was really enjoying the NWA Power as well, and I used to love the way they'd be interviewing guys at the side of the ring and all that kind of stuff. Was just so cool and just real old school way of doing it. And it was kind of, it was grungy and it was dirty and it was camcordery and all that kind of stuff. And it was really really cool at the time. Just really really enjoyed it. 2010 WWE Survivor Series was held in the American Airlines Arena in Miami, Florida. On the show, Natalia won her first championship after beating Layla and Michelle McCool, of course, in a 2-on-1 handicap match to win the WWE Divas title. Horrible looking belt. But Natalia there, I mean, you think about it, that's 2010. Still going strong. She's the matriarch, I think, of the locker room, really. 2010, 13 years on, still doing it, very, very impressive. 1990, the fourth annual WWF Survivor Series took place on Thanksgiving night in Hartford, Connecticut, and of course, most famously known for the debut of The Undertaker. Royal Rumble odds live on Paddy Power, Gunther favourite, followed by The Rock. Mad, isn't it? Justin's in. Big up, Justin. Good to see you, my man. Thanks for joining us. Randy turns heel. Yeah, what you going to do? What do you think, Jay? Is it? You thinking Jay, Justin, are you? RKO nowhere on Jey Uso, I reckon, maybe, yeah. Matt Riddle versus RVD happening soon on the Indies, first time ever. Yeah, I've seen that. What's the crowd called? Is it MWS or something like that, or MES or something like that? Seen something the other day about it. Battle of the Stoners. Good Lord. You imagine coming out with like a championship belt with a big bag of weed on the front, of like a spinny bag of weed or something. Like, it'd be just something crazy, you know what I mean? Battle of the cocaine versus the weed. We're going deep tonight, Aces, aren't we? Bonkers. I can only see Randy turn on Jay in the match and after the match. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, you're right, Bonkers. Yeah, and I think the foundation is laid, isn't it? It's really cool. And that's why I'm kind of excited about Survivor Series. Becky and Charlotte, can they coexist? Jay and Randy, can they coexist? Who knows? Will Randy even make it to the ring? Who knows? Will we get the cult of personality? Who knows? Very, very exciting. 2010, The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to defeat Randy Orton for the WWE Championship after Orton had defended against Wade Barrett. I like the way I'm tying this in. Some of it was conscious as well. 2015, the vacant WWE title was decided in a tournament at the Survivor Series in Atlanta, Georgia. Roman Reigns defeated Dean Ambrose to win the WWE title for the very first time, only to lose the title moments later when Sheamus cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. There you go. That was crazy, isn't it? Crazy. I'm literally 3 votes away from drawing in the voting cup. There you go. Keep it going, Jack. Keep it going, Jack. 2020, exactly 30 years to the day. This kind of completes it because this week we got the debut of The Undertaker at Survivor Series back in 1990. And then in 2020, exactly 30 years to the day from his WWE debut, The Undertaker said his final farewell at WWE Survivor Series from the Thunderdome in Orlando, Florida. Kind of deflated, wasn't it? It was a kind of a horrible way to go out and stuff like that and all. And you kind of felt it would have been better in a different way and stuff like that. Let us know your thoughts on that. You Taker fans in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on the final farewell. Yeah, just timing is everything and stuff like that, isn't it? But 30 years to the day, mad. How that 30 years went is crazy, isn't it? Daniel's in. The smart booking would be Priest taking the pin and being the final straw to kick him out of Judgment Day. But what likely happens is Orton, RKO's Jay and our Cody, and then just leaves the cage. Interesting, interesting. Everyone's banking on Priest being the guy, isn't he? I don't know. I've a funny feeling about it. I have a funny feeling about Balor. A funny feeling when you're seeing his reaction to Drew and Rhea on the ramp and stuff like that. And dare I say, could you have two guys going out? Who knows? But it's certainly an interesting one. I think I could visualize Rhea there and having two big guys at her side. Drew and Damian Priest. You know what I mean? That to me looks really impressive. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but we see everyone's thinking Priest. That's been the consensus and stuff like that. But yeah, Balor, who knows? 2007, Linda Hogan. Here we go. Linda Hogan announced that she had filed for divorce from her husband Hulk Hogan. All that stuff. Hogan knows best and everything. All was absolutely crazy, crazy stuff. And it was interesting the way the show evolved and stuff like that, wasn't it? You could see how tough it was becoming, and it wasn't just for the cameras, as we know later on. It was fairly serious and stuff like that. But there was so many issues there when you let cameras go so intrusive into your life and stuff like that, and just peel back some of those layers in that onion, and it might not be what you want to see. Yeah, but yeah, Linda Hogan announced that she had filed for divorce from her husband Hulk Hogan. We shall do some notable birthdays once we take a few more comments. Jack is one vote away, folks. So if you haven't gone over there and pumped him up, try and do that. Help the guy out. That JD McDonough trigger needs to be pulled soon. Yeah, I think I think there's signs of it there. I mean, you're seeing it in Crown Jewel and stuff like that and all. I think there's a recognition out there, and a lot of wrestlers have been coming out about how impressed they've been with him and stuff like that. And all. We know how good he is, of course. We know the guy and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think they will. Could it be the case that he's the guy that they pull the trigger on, and he's the guy that takes Balor out of the Judgment Day, turning on the guy? You know, that for me would be the storyline, not necessarily Damian Priest. That would be pretty cool if JD turned on Balor. You know, imagine that. Imagine that from an emotional and a nostalgia point of view and stuff like that. The student turning on the master. There's good storyline there. Cody versus Randy next feud for Rumble. Looking forward to Randy promo on carrying Cody during the legacy days. Yeah, they alluded to it, didn't they? They alluded to it. It's a pity Ted's in so much trouble, isn't it? Pity Ted's in so much trouble because they probably would have brought him back, and that would have been kind of cool to kind of come full circle with that loop with the guys and stuff like that. No, crazy, crazy stuff. Sick of the Judgment Day. Ministry of Darkness 2.0. I'm not sick of them. I like the Judgment Day. I think they're cool. Ray is electric. Hogan's biggest mistake was passing up the grill George Foreman for a blender. He passed it up for the wasn't it for the protein shaker and the vitamins or something like that and all. Yeah, imagine that. Crazy, crazy. Imagine look back on that and all. Daniel's in. I think Rhea took the contract out of the briefcase and gave it to Drew as the incentive to team up with them. So Priest gets stuck with a briefcase with no contract inside. I am loving that story. I am loving the talk of that potentially happening. I think it would be really cool. You can imagine them cashing in the briefcase. Although when they cash in the briefcase, correct me if I'm wrong, has a referee ever actually opened the briefcase to check if the contract is in it? Or would this be a first if it was to happen? I can't remember that happening before, did it? Jog my memory. Maybe it did, but I can't remember happening. I can't remember even a ref. I've never remembered a ref even opening a briefcase to check if the contract was in it. So maybe I'm wrong. Acers, please bring back the punk kick for Randy Orton. Yeah, potentially. They have been bringing back a few bits, so just voted. That's just voted for you there, Jack. There you go. So you should be thereabouts. Of was it Terry Linda divorced? Yeah, well, it would have been Terry definitely, because Hulk Hogan wouldn't divorce her. He's too well endowed, apparently. Dino's in. What's up, Dino? How are you, man? No, my man. Great show as per. Really looking forward to Survivor Series this year. Yeah, it's going to be it's exciting, isn't it? It's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. I can see Finn and JD as a tag on their own. I'd rather the turn though, Morris, would you? I'd rather the turn. Thank you, Daz. Big up my bro. Acer's in. JD will eliminate Fergo from the Rumble match. Wouldn't be too upset about that either. How does Damien cash in? Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I don't know. I think this is where they might blow our minds because like they don't always go with the obvious. And I think the traction of JD turning on Balor, and then the two boys in the Judgment Day and stuff like that, and Dominic as well, would be interesting. But be interesting to see. But like I said, I don't know. Has anyone ever seen a case being open to check a contract? I'm not too sure. This could be a first. Randy gonna come back and leave everyone laying in a pile. Some good feuds coming on the road to Mania. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. The Mania season. Ted was Ted was great in the Marine too. Classic movie. Looked the part. Looked the part, all right. When do you think the cash in will happen, Niall, and who against? Probably. He's probably going to have to go Rollins, isn't he? Because like you can't, like it make no sense. It make no well. Roman's not going to be around, so how would you cash in on him anyway? So it has to be Rollins if he's going to cash in. I'm not too sure. I wonder would they hold off all the way to Mania, or would they maybe do it at Elimination Chamber in Perth or something like that? Really give, because not only with these premium line events and the way they're putting them on in different countries and all now, but they're gonna have to give us something on them as well, aren't they, to really make them settle in there and stuff like that is a big deal. Like when they do Backlash in France, something big has to happen on it. When they do the Bash in Berlin, something big has to happen on it. You know what I mean? So it's in order to really, really make it feel like they're going out there from a global point of view, not just that they're giving us like a WWE house show tour, but with different aprons and different entrances and stuff like that. So yeah, never being opened. Yeah, I was thinking that Morris never being open. So this, if the contract is gone out of it and they open it, this would be a first. That's what I was thinking. Henry, what's the crack, my pal? I just done iRobot film with the Will Smith awesome film. Nice, nice. You're killing it, Henry. Killing it. Love it. Be nice to see Fergo putting JD over. It would actually, yeah, and it'd be super cool for the two boys as well. And it's maybe not for everyone in the chat who understands that dynamic and stuff, but for us who are Irish wrestling fans as well, that would be kind of huge. We seen it with Becky as well, and Lyra was really, really big. But for us who have seen them grow up and mature and become these athletes and these huge stars and stuff like that, it's so much more rewarding, and there's so much more depth to it and stuff like that and all. And it'd be kind of cool as well if there was build-ups to them with the vignettes from the old Bray days, and I don't know, OTT or whatever they can mix in there and stuff like that would be really cool. And if Tracy, I'd love to see if Paul Tracy got some sort of a push off it or something like that, because he's been integral in both men's careers and their succession and stuff like success. Big up chat. Daz in Henry, I have a new Daz Marks account. It's a purple circle with a D. Nice. What happened to the other one, Daz? Dino's in. PS, think Punk comes back to that old ROH team. Imagine the pop. Yeah, absolutely. Let's check before we get into our notable birthdays. Let's check how is our poll doing? 55 saying yes, 45 saying no. So evenly split, I would say. So let's see. I think we'll probably end it at that at this stage, the poll. So it's probably evenly split. So we're not saying yes and we're not saying no, but we're edging towards hoping, as they say. But thanks for voting on the poll as well, folks. And like I said, a great weekend of sport coming up. Katie Taylor, of course, trying to revenge that loss, which is going to be tough. Going to be tough when you move up in weights and stuff like that. Now it's going to be really, really tough for her. And that girl is durable as well, and she hits hard as hell as well. So looking forward to the Katie fight as well. So we got what we got. We got a whole day of Saturday of football, right from lunchtime with City versus Liverpool all the way into the evening. Then we've got the Katie fight. We've got Survivor Series. We've got some pretty good matches on Super Sunday as well and stuff like that as well. Great weekend of sport coming up, folks. Strap yourself in. Load up on the stuff. We got the toy show on Friday night as well on the late for you Irish guys in the chat as well. So Friday we got the toy show and stuff like that. Dino, you're in the chat there, and now you're going to enjoy it with the big man himself as well. So that's going to be pretty cool and stuff like that. Late, strap yourself in, pile up on the junk food and stuff like that. Really get the weekend off to a good start. So it's going to be really, really cool. Yeah, but that old ROH thing be class. I'd like WWE to do some stadium shows in mainland Europe instead of arenas. Crow Park. Crow Park would be cool. Crow Park, the Aviva, any of them. Look, we've a clatter of Irish there at the moment and stuff, so it'd be great. The big thing in Berlin will probably be Lesnar versus Walter for the IC title. Oh, I don't know. Will the IC title not be gone already at that stage? I think they'll have moved on from it. He's hardly going to carry the strap all the way to August, is he? I mean, we need his progression now to kind of step out of the IC and elevate him up and stuff like that, don't we? I would like to see Lesnar versus Walter in Berlin, all right. I don't know, Lesnar for an IC title. Not too sure, Daniel. I like the idea of Lesnar versus Walter. That would be killer. Lesnar for the IC title. Not too sure where that works. Lost my password, Henry, for it. That's what happens. Happens to us. Happens. Fair play, Henry. Absolutely. I'm going to go eat as I have another live at 10. So enjoy your video, boy chat. Big up, Henry. Love that. Make sure, folks, you're checking out Henry's channel and stuff like that. And all the channels in there. Make sure you're checking out Morris's as well and everyone else's. Make sure you're sharing the love and all that kind of stuff as well. Really, really important. Who do you think is going to be the next Irish person in WWE now? Probably LJ Cleary. Could be LJ Cleary. I tell you, I don't think I'd say it happened, but be cool in there would just be different gravy, wouldn't he? He'd be just different gravy. Sammy's very good as well. There's a number of really good guys there at the moment and stuff like that. But I'd imagine LJ is going to go out there and he's going to develop himself out there and Noah and stuff like that and on the indies and stuff like that. And then I would imagine he's probably going to be the next one to go in. Wouldn't surprise me. Seeing Paul Tracy behind the curtain in NLW last show, taking notes for talent. No better man. He is an unbelievable wrestler. He's an unbelievable guy. And he's a sensational coach. A sensational coach. If you think he's a really, really good wrestler, talk to people about what they think about his coaching. That guy knows how to get guys ready, and he is integral in people getting ready for WWE tryouts. The shift that guy puts in. Just talk to Jordan Devlin. The work he put in on Jordan Devlin and guys like that was absolutely sensational. And to be honest with you, doesn't get near enough plaudits that he should. And a great guy. I've always had fun with Paul when I've been at shows or back in the early days with NWA and stuff like that and all. Yeah, good guy. Crazy sense of humor, but good guy. Good guy. Which legends do you think will be in the Rumble? Which legends? There's talk of Kevin Nash, wasn't there? Kevin Nash apparently wants to be in it, so there's talk of Kevin Nash. Who else will go in there? Kevin Nash. Tell you, if we could get Goldust in there, would be pretty cool. And what about Booker? You could get Booker in there. You could get Goldust. You could get Kevin Nash. X-Pac. X-Pac could be in there. Who knows? Should be interesting. Should be interesting. But hopefully a few anyway. A few tickets for Katie's fight on Ticket Swap, 150, 250 price range. Not too bad. Will Turbiddy make a return on Friday for the toy show and turn heel and guilty? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Yeah, I wonder. Do you know the funny thing about it? I've seen Turbiddy there. He's taken up the role in Virgin Radio, isn't he, in the UK? He was being interviewed by Chris Evans there last week. And as much as he was, let me know what your thoughts if you're saying it, folks. He was talking. He did a couple of short videos. I think he was in a cab going to the airport or in London or something like that. And as much as he was bigging up the new job and what he was doing and stuff like that, there was a kind of a sadness to him or something like that. You know what I mean? There was just something there where maybe he felt he had been hard done by, but it was a tricky situation to try and navigate through and stuff like that. But yeah, I wonder how he'll feel on Friday with that going on and he's not a part of it and stuff like that and all, I'd say that's going to feel super weird. Stephen Kenny has been sacked as Irish manager. He has been sacked as Irish manager. Absolutely. Should have seen Morris's celebration video earlier. There is a God, Henry. There you go. There is a God. There has always been a God, Morris. Yeah. He just didn't look down on us in terms of Irish football for about 3 years. Me. Richie. Morris, do you have a live at 10 p.m. as well? Not tonight, Daz. Few shows next week. Absolutely. We'll get him on tomorrow night. Shout out to Paul Tracy. Miss our chats. Yeah, nice. Great guy, Paul. Godfather for the Rumble. Godfather, yeah. Absolutely. Morris will be the man. Morris is the man to follow and keep an eye on YouTube and stuff like that. He'll find out who's coming into the Rumble and stuff like that. Morris, try and get Paul Roma into the Rumble. Imagine Paul Roma showing up in the room. That'd be mad, wouldn't it? We all would have taken the money Tubbs was given. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. It's kind of like that. It's that football Saudi League conundrum, isn't it? And stuff like that, where we all want to turn around and go, our moral compass and stuff like that. Yeah, till this big bag of cash. And then it's different, isn't it? Right, let's round out with some notable birthdays, folks. Shane Douglas, 1964. For the week that's in it, there's been a lot of talk. We will discuss next week the Bellas, of course, because there's been a lot of talk going around. Nikki Bella not happy at the moment and stuff like that. But Brie Bella and Nikki Bella, of course, 1983, celebrate their birthdays. The great Juventud Guerrera, 1974. Don Fry, the man who would have won every Movember, 1965. And we rounded out, of course, with a lady who dropped into a shop one night with Adam Copeland, Edge to me. His beautiful wife from 1980 is her birthday this week, Beth Phoenix. I had the pleasure of talking to her in the shop, and she is so down to earth and a really, really nice human being. Really, really great chat with her. We didn't even chat about wrestling. We chatted about life and family and kids and all that kind of stuff. We didn't even chat about wrestling. It was crazy. Daz, I would like to see Kate or Road Dogg in the Rumble. Road Dogg, yeah. I don't know whether you'll get Road Dogg in the Rumble or not. I was looking at Road Dogg the other day. Was he on a podcast or what was he on? He was doing something. And he's totally changed. Totally changed. I don't know whether he could I don't know whether he could come out in the Rumble at this stage. But I believe he does a stellar job at the agency work backstage and stuff like that. No. That's it, folks. Another show after going by. 107 minutes. Not too bad. Hope I didn't take up too much of your Wednesday evening. Yeah. Morris is in. My scoop for the week is one Just Incredible went on a tour with a promoter. I know in the States last week, completely disregarded the fans and the fellow talents and drank the whole weekend. He's in a very bad way. Yeah. Great show, folks. As always, we are now over and out. Absolutely. We will talk to you again real soon. Don't forget, on the way out, if you haven't, like, share the content. Also, the next day, if you're going for a power walk, if you're in the car, whatever you're doing that doesn't require video, audio shows will be up there on Spotify. The links are there. It's the upper tier. You'll find it Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, always next day for the audio shows. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night, back on the football gravy train again. And of course, always give us your feedback. Really appreciate you guys in the chat as always. You guys really make the show and stuff like that. Love these wrestling chats. As I always say about pro wrestling, there's no absolute matter of fact. It's a business of opinions, and we all have opinions, and no one is more right or wrong than the other. So really enjoy the Wednesday night wrestling shows, folks. Let's keep this going. Talk to you again real soon. Cheers.